You wake up somewhere in the middle of your life and realize the path you've been building led somewhere wrong. There's no single catastrophe you can point to, no crash, just the slow, sober recognition that you optimized carefully, for years, for the wrong thing. And now you're standing in a dark wood, off the road, with no obvious way back. That's where Dante begins his poem. Not with a hero, not with a battle, with a man who looks up and admits he is lost. Dante Alighieri wrote the Divine Comedy in exile. He'd been on the losing side of Florence's political knife fights, condemned, banished, threatened with death if he ever returned. So the work is born out of crisis, both personal and historical. He doesn't hide that. He puts himself in the poem as a man lost in a dark wood, morally disoriented. Who needs a guide to find the road again? The journey runs through 3 realms: Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. He's led first by Virgil, the Roman poet, who stands in for human reason, and later by Beatrice, who stands for grace, love, and a kind of vision reason can't reach on its own. Here's the framing I'd ask you to hold on to. Don't treat the comedy as a museum piece, a beautiful old object you admire from behind glass. Treat it as what it was built to be, a moral map, a working system for figuring out where choices actually lead. Dante isn't cataloging punishments for fun. He's modeling the relationship between freedom, desire, and consequence. And he's doing it with the precision of someone who genuinely believes the structure of your wants determines the structure of your life. So let's get into the architecture, because that's where the real idea lives. The 3 realms aren't 3 separate places. They're 3 states of one single thing: desire. Inferno is love turned in on itself. Purgatorio is love being corrected. Paradiso is love fully aligned with its true object. Same force, 3 configurations. Start at the bottom. Hell. The Inferno is organized into circles, and in each circle, the sin becomes its own visible destiny. Dante calls this the Contrapasso. The punishment is the choice, made permanent and external. The lustful, who let passion blow them wherever it wanted, are dragged forever by an endless wind. The hoarders and wasters shove great dead weights against each other back and forth forever. The fraudulent are sealed inside the very deceptions they built. Nobody is being punished for their sin, so much as they've become it. The choice hardened into a place. Now pay attention to the order, because the ordering is the argument. As Dante descends, he moves from the sins of passion, lust, gluttony, greed, down to the sins of fraud and betrayal. And fraud sits lower, closer to the bottom, worse. For Dante, cold intelligence used to corrupt trust is more damning than hot impulse. The man who schemes is beneath the man who simply couldn't control himself. The misuse of the mind is worse than the misuse of appetite, because it takes the highest human faculty and turns it against the thing that holds people together. Then, among the fraudulent, you meet Ulysses. And this is one of the great moments. Ulysses isn't condemned for being a coward or a fool. He's condemned for a hunger for knowledge and experience that cut itself loose from every limit, who talked his exhausted crew into sailing past the edge of the known world, past the boundary. Humans were meant to respect chasing virtue and knowledge until the sea closed over them. And here's the tension Dante holds without flinching. He clearly admires the drive. The speech Ulysses gives is magnificent. But the poem condemns the excess in the same breath that it honors the brilliance. Greatness and ruin in one figure. And then, at the very bottom, Lucifer. This is the surprise. You expect the ultimate evil to be a towering figure of fire and command. Instead, Dante gives you a giant frozen waist-deep in ice, weeping, chewing, beating his wings, and the wings only. Freeze the ice harder. He's immobile, sterile, incapable of love and incapable of producing anything at all. That's Dante's deepest claim about evil. At its absolute extreme, it isn't powerful. It's inert, stuck, generating nothing. Pull all of that together and you get the governing thesis of the whole poem. Every single sin in hell is a deformation of love. Love misdirected, aimed at the wrong object. Love that's too weak for the things that actually matter. Or love that's too strong for lesser things that don't deserve that much of you. The human problem for Dante is never desire itself. Desire is the engine. You can't live without it. The problem is desire pointed at the wrong object, in the wrong amount. Now read that whole structure through capital and decision, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. First, disordered desire is misallocated capital. Dante's claim is that the error is never wanting. Wanting is the engine of everything. No allocation happens without it. The error is wanting the wrong thing, in the wrong size. That's not a moral failing. in some vague sense. It's an allocation error, exactly the kind a portfolio makes. Markets don't punish ambition. They punish ambition aimed at the wrong asset, sized wrong. Hell, in this reading is a museum of bad allocation decisions that hardened into permanent positions. Second, Ulysses is the brilliant operator, who sails past the limit and blows up. The skill was real. That's the whole point. That's why it stings. He wasn't reckless out of stupidity. He was reckless out of excellence, the conviction that the edge didn't apply to him. What killed him wasn't the lack of talent. It was the lack of a stopping rule. Every blow-up you've ever read about has a Ulysses inside it. Someone genuinely gifted who never defined the boundary past which the brilliance becomes the cause of death. Third, Lucifer frozen in ice is dead capital, the value trap, the position that looks, from a distance, like the ultimate prize, the deepest place, the final holding. And it turns out to be sterile and immobile, generating nothing, compounding nothing, going nowhere. The thing that traps you isn't always the obvious loss. Sometimes it's the impressive-looking position you can't get out of. That quietly produces zero forever. And then there's the fourth, the one underneath all of them, Virgil. Reason. Virgil is the model that takes you far, astonishingly far, but has a ceiling. He guides Dante through the entire descent and all the way up the mountain of purification. And then, at the threshold of paradise, he simply stops. He can't cross. Reason gets you to purification, but not to full vision. The frame that carried you the whole way has a boundary it cannot see past. That's the discipline the poem is quietly teaching. Know where your model ends. The smartest framework you own. The one that's been right again and again still has an edge beyond which it's no longer the right tool. The failure isn't using the model, it's not knowing where it stops. The journey that began in the disorientation of the dark wood ends in light, in what Dante calls the love that moves the sun and the other stars. The entire universe revealed, at the end, as one ordered system of desire pointed the right way, which makes his closing question the opposite of medieval. It lands now on you. Which desires are shaping your reality right now, and where exactly are they taking you? Produced with AI assistance.